Hello and welcome to Midnight. This is Reverend Anna from Anna Transylvania's Tarot Room, and I welcome you tonight to a rendition of Slow Saturday. Tonight, I figured I would talk about a little bit of Friday the 13th lore, and also because we didn't really have much of a Tarot Thursday, or Free Friday, I wanted to just gift you a little bit of astrology. So today's a little bit of everything. So it's Slow Saturday. Um, I wanted to really honor Friday the 13th, which is happening on Friday, and also Saturn moving into Aries. Okay, so first, let's delve a little bit into Friday the 13th. Um, and so I'm seeing a lot of people understand that Friday the 13th is not really bad, but they don't know why it's not bad. They don't understand the reasoning behind it. So tonight I thought I would talk a little bit about that, just a tiny bit. Okay? So, first of all, Friday the 13th has been a number. So, Friday is a day associated with love. Okay? Friday is the day of Freya, which is the planet Venus in the Norse pantheon. That's my opinion, okay? That's my opinion, but Freya is associated with love. She's associated with the planet Venus. Friday is also associated with the planet Venus or with Aphrodite or Venus in the Greek and Roman pantheon, respectively. Okay? So Friday is already kind of a sacred day for women, for women to sort of wind down their week and get ready for having family inside the house on Sundays and things like this. Now, the symbolism of the number 13 is there are 13 moons in 1 year, okay? Not 12, 13. So the solar year goes by 12 months, okay? The lunar year goes by 13 moons, okay? So there's 13 moons. And the last moon is normally special. So the last moon in the year in December is the more special moon because that one is supposed to be the moon around the day that's outside of time. Okay, so there's like a period of time at the end of the year that's like, it depends on which culture you're from, esoterically speaking, spiritually speaking. It's either like a day, 3 days, a week, where you you can't count it. So like if you do a 28-day month, for example, um, and you do 12 of them, you have like a week left over. Just to give you an example, don't quote me on that, okay? So just to give you an example, the last moon is always the moon where we're using it to cleanse for the new year. So both Friday and the moon, and the number 13 are associated with feminine energy. So when the church took over the calendar, okay, when they were like rewriting the calendars, there's been several rewritings of the original calendars, okay. Each culture has done a little bit of their own rewriting. Each religion has tweaked it, okay. But when we started having like a male savior, spiritually speaking, when we started having males be at the forefront of religion, they started appropriating a bunch of days for themselves and replacing feminine energy with masculine energy, or having, oh, this god, so and so goddess marries so and so god, and that's the god for Friday, okay, now, or for Thursday or whatever, okay. Now with Friday and the 13 moons and all of these things, they couldn't really repress it because the Venusian cults were so widespread that they had actually made their way into the Christian religion. Some of them were lunar cults, not Venusian cults, okay, because the number 13 is associated with the moon. So some of the lunar cults had made their way into the Christian pantheon, okay, if there is such a thing. There is. They had made their way into the Christian pantheon um, through the vehicle of the Virgin Mary, okay. Some of the darker lunar cults had appropriated Mary Magdalene, and we're seeing a resurgence of that in our present day. Um, Yet some of them had also appropriated Saint Martha, which is Mary Magdalene's either cousin or sister or her handmaid, depending on who you ask and what time in history you read. Um, and then some of them didn't really, so so they didn't really appropriate any of the guises of the Christian religion, okay? Um, so they sort of went by the wayside and now they're having a resurgence. Okay, so like there's gods and goddesses, well, there's goddesses in each pantheon that used to be lunar goddesses. They used to be worshipped on Fridays. Um, they used to be Venusian goddesses. They used to be worshipped on Fridays, and they're no longer worshipped on Fridays. But because the male centered religions couldn't take Friday away, they decided that they were going to do the next best thing for themselves and say, well, Friday is bad. You shouldn't do anything on Fridays. You shouldn't have sex on Fridays. You shouldn't do anything on Fridays because, you know, they were demonizing that day because the cults were so big. The Venusian worshiping and moon worshiping cults were so big that they couldn't eradicate them. And if they couldn't assimilate them, then in those regions, they would say, Friday is unlucky, Friday is unlucky. So that's how that all started, okay? So, knowing all of these things, knowing that you have, Venusian cults and you also have lunar cults that used to hold Friday and the number 13 sacred. We now have a picture of what Friday the 13th should really be about, okay? So it should really be about worshiping the sovereignty within you, worshiping your independence, worshiping the fact that you're single, worshiping your own magic. The 13th moon in a year was considered an extremely magical time for manifestation as well, and for cleaning out the things that you no longer need. So these are all activities that you can actually do. Cleansing, excellent. Friday the 13th is excellent for cleaning out old connections that no longer serve you, or cleaning out, your ex-lover stuff from your apartment, or things like this, okay? Friday the 13th is very good for that. Friday the 13th is also very good for cleansing in general, but also for doing any kind of self-care or like working through problems that have been recurring throughout the year, okay? So Friday the 13th is really good for that. So we not only have a Friday the 13th now, today, February 13th, but March 13th is also going to be a Friday the 13th. So you guys have an opportunity to do this again next month. So I would say starting something now and building upon it until next month, and then ending in next month on Friday the 13th, perfect, okay? Starting a ritual, starting a self-care routine, starting, washing your face at night, okay? Stuff like that. Friday the 13th is also good for boundary work. Now, this particular Friday the 13th is excellent for boundary work because this particular Friday, going into Saturday, which is now at midnight, we have Saturn going into Aries. So we're going to be getting the impetus to commit to actions, okay? But because of Saturn, it's going to be a little slower. So Saturn talks about methodical growth, making a plan and following through. So this is going to be the challenge. It's going to be you only have an amount of freedom, an amount of free time, an amount of excuse me, an amount of time, okay, within your week to implement these changes. So what is your boundary there? How much time do you want to spend on yourself, on your self-care? What do you need to get rid of in order to make more time if you need that? Okay, so because Saturn is moving into Aries, we're gonna see a lot of people be filled with energy, and they're gonna try to move, and either they're gonna have to stop themselves and put a boundary there. Other people are gonna stop and put boundaries on them, or they're gonna be like, okay, what is the plan? Let's see. I only have this much amount of time, so I'm gonna do this, and the next week I'm gonna do this, and the next week I'm gonna do this. So perfect time to start like a long-term growth. Saturn stays for a couple of years until 2028, okay? April 2028. So we have a couple of years to really work with the Saturn and Aries energy that's gonna push us to do, commitments, to have committed action towards a goal or a passion or something that we just want, okay? So perfect time to do any of those things. Now I have selenite over here. Selenite is an excellent one for the cleansing aspect of tonight because it's gentle, okay? So selenite corresponds to the exact opposite. Saturn in Aries is like forceful, and it forces you to like take a look at the reality and deal with the reality. Selenite is gentle and it's lunar energy. We talked about how Friday the 13th is lunar energy and how it can be really gentle. Selenite is strong but gentle, which embodies perfectly Friday the 13th, especially a Friday the 13th, which is before Valentine's Day, okay? So that's why I have selenite here. Great cleanser. It self-cleans, so you don't have to like necessarily put it in the moonlight. In fact, you actually shouldn't wash it or handle it much with your fingers, because even oils from your fingers will make it break down. See over here, like how I have this part is smooth and this part is smooth, is because I like to fiddle with it and I like to go like this, okay? So you have like a really smooth side over here because I fiddle with this thing, okay? Look at it, I fiddle with that thing, okay? Same with this one, I like to fiddle with this one as well. This one is actually like really smooth if you see it, okay? Now, in honor of female sovereignty and the original meaning of Friday the 13th, I thought I would also introduce you to a favorite goddess of mine that I sometimes work with her energy where I need strength, where I need to have extra power, where I need to have a fighting spirit, okay? So on issues that I need to have a fighting spirit and on issues that I have to fight the long game, okay? I really like to call upon the Morrigan, all right? She's a triple goddess. Some people say she's a goddess of fate. I believe that, okay? Like the three fates are embodied in her. Depending on who you ask, she's either Welsh, Irish, but she's from the British Isles. She's not British. She's Welsh or Irish, depending on who you ask and what side of that issue you're on. Now, I believe she really used to own the whole island of Great Britain, the whole island of England, okay? And then eventually she got pushed out by various different events in history. I don't know my anthropology real well about that area. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, I don't know it, but I believe that she endures. Originally, she was a goddess of the land and a goddess of mothers, which really corresponds to Friday the 13th and its iteration of like mothery kind of self-care energy, lunar energy. Okay. Then I believe as war came into her lands and everything like that, she became a protector goddess. So as she became a protector goddess, we see this fire emerging inside the original. Her name is Maha. Okay, so Maha is the original goddess of that island. Okay, of Wales, really. Okay, and so according to like things I've read, so Maha was the goddess of the land, children on the land, fertility goddess, fertility fairy, in some iterations. Um, she becomes this warrior goddess. She becomes the fire gets lit within, and the land is being plundered, it's being burned. So she starts basically defending it with her life, and she gets herself an army. She like you know gets herself warriors that are loyal to her, and they fight for the land, they fight for the sovereignty of the land. So that's where Maha becomes the Morrigan. Okay, so there's another facet of Maha is the Morrigan. Now the Morrigan is actually the name of three goddesses, or three facets of the same goddess. Okay, so the Morrigan is the one I wanted to talk to more about today, because once she becomes the Morrigan, she gets new attributes. Okay, first of all, she gets the warrior attribute, but the other thing she's signaled by and signified by is the dragon. Okay, look at this. This is one of the dragons that I have for the Morrigan. And this is a dragon where I burned the candle, like you might have seen some of my other videos. This is where I burned the candle to the Morrigan. And it came out in the shape of a dragon head. You can see it a little bit more. Like if I go like this, you see it right there. It's like the dragon head. And then maybe I'm just seeing that there. Green is a color sacred to both Maha and the Morrigan. Now, I believe that she is an actual like warrior goddess, and so Saturn going into Aries also fits this energy, like fight for what you believe in, fight for the boundaries that you feel are important to you, fight for the things that are important to you, don't let people cross your boundaries without enforcing them, things like this. Okay, so when you have the Morrigan, helps with all of that. She embodies all of that. One of the things that the Morrigan does is that it's called the harvest of the Morrigan. So after a battle is over, she can claim warriors for herself, like the passed away ones. She can claim them. And the way she claims them is for 24 hours, everybody leaves the battlefields alone. And she roams in the form of wild dogs, wild wolves, or ravens and crows are her favorites. And so, like, if the crows gather on top of like a warrior's body, if a lot of crows are there, that's the body that she wants. So for 24 hours, she's being left to claim, the fallen soldiers, kind of like a version of Odin, like a female version of him. Okay. Well, actually, they might have been at the same time. So she's, okay, she's the Morrigan. She's not Odin. Okay. So she harvests their heads, and then you take the heads back. Okay. So if a body is claimed, the warriors that are still alive are like, that's the warrior that the Morrigan wants. So that's why the skulls are also representative of her. This is one of the things that I have for her, like a representation for her. And then I have these gray stones. I forget what they're called. I forget what the stone is called, but I wear a lot of it. This is the same kind, just a little bit bluer with a bluer sheen. Um, I have a lot of this stone. I just don't, I forget at the moment what it's called. It is midnight, guys, okay? I've been awake since 6 o'clock in the morning, so I'm sorry, all right? Um, anyhow, so these are some attributes of the Morrigan. And then there's an even bigger sort of face, a more encompassing face of the Morrigan, um, which is called the Banshee. Um, and she actually has a name, which I'm sorry. Oh, Nemain. Nemain. Her name is Nemain, and she's the one that puts people in a battle frenzy and screeches at the armies to motivate them, to give them oomph. Okay? She's the one that causes, whose cauldron bubbling over causes the end of the world. Okay? Um, so we only hear her screeching like that in battle at the end of the world. So yeah, so that's a little bit about the goddess of sovereignty, the Morrigan. And to close off this already long sort of diatribe, okay, I wanted to show you what I sometimes do with just things that I want to cleanse, okay? So I'll put the coins right here like that and put the selenite on it. Maybe say a prayer, say an intention for those coins, like cleanse them of negative energy, so that when they go out there, they bring positive energy back to me. All right. All right, guys. Now I have to say good night. Happy Friday the 13th. I hope you guys learned something about the Morrigan a little bit. And I will talk to you tomorrow night. Good night. Like, share, subscribe. Bye.